Jai Jai Shri Radeshyam and welcome. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Bhaktamala, Sri Parashurama Avatar. Namaste Gurudevaya Sarvasiddhi Pradayine Sarvamagala Rupaya Sarvananda Vidyaine. Jai Mahavira Radharamana Ki Jai, Jai Nitai Jai Gaur, Jai Jai Shri Radeshyam. According to Valmiki Ramayana, Lord Brahma's son, King Kusha, had 4 sons, and Kushanava was the second. King Kushanava once performed a sacrifice in the hopes of receiving a son. The sacrifice was successful, and so he was blessed with a pious son named Gati. King Gati had a daughter named Satyavati, who was married to the great sage Richika. One day, Satyavati and her mother approached sage Richika with a desire to have a son. The great sage gave 2 small clay pots of sweet rice to Satyavati, with the instruction that one of them was for her and the other was for her mother. After saying this, the sage left to take his bath. When they were about to consume the sweet rice, the mother said, my dear daughter, everyone wants a heroic son. Give me your sweet rice and take mine, because my son will have to rule the entire earth, whereas a Brahmana's son have no need for strength and wealth. Satyavati gave her sweet rice to her mother, and when the sage came to know of this, he said to his wife, you have made a big mistake. What you did was very foolish. Now that this had happened, your son will be a great warrior, whereas your brother will be a learned transcendentalist. When Satyavati repeatedly requested the sage to alter this unwanted chain of events, he said, your son will not be a fierce warrior, but your grandson will. Thus it came to be that King Gadi's wife gave birth to the sage, Vishwamitra, who was a great ascetic and learned sage, even though he was a Kshatriya and sage Rishika's son. Jamadagni was also a very sober, self-controlled sage, but his son Parashurama was a fierce warrior. One day, sage Jamadagni sent his wife Renuka to bring some water from the river. A Gandharva couple was enjoying conjugal love in the river, and while collecting water, Renuka watched them with fascination, so that she returned home late. What? Jamadagni could understand the reason for her being late, considering it to be a great sin for a wife to watch others engaging in sexual activity. He called for his sons and ordered them to kill their mother. Out of affection for their mother, 7 of the sons refused to kill her, but not the 8th son, Parashurama. Without hesitation, Parashurama cut off not only the head of his mother, but the heads of his disobedient brothers as well. Jamadagni was very pleased, and so he requested Parashurama to accept a benediction. In reply, Parashurama said, may my mother and brothers regain their lives, and may they never remember that I have killed them. May no sin for killing them touch me. May no one capable of competing with me or on the battlefield, and may I live a long life. The great ascetic Jamadagni granted all these boons. There was a king named Sahasrarjuna who ruled from his city, Mahimatipuri. He had received benedictions from Dattatreya that no one could compete with him in battle. that he will have 1,000 arms while fighting and that his movements will never be checked. Being intoxicated by these benedictions, he tortured the demigods, sages, and yakshas. Indeed, all living entities were erased by him. Once being puffed up by his incomparable strength, he covered the ocean with his onslaught of arrows. The presiding deity of the ocean appeared before him and said with folded hands, "O valiant hero, please order me as to what I can do for you." The king replied, "Tell me if there is anyone in creation who is as powerful with the bow as I, and who can thus compete with me in battle. If you can inform me of such a person, then I will leave you alone." The ocean personified said, "The great sage Jamadagni's son, Parashurama, is a good match for you. Go to him and challenge him to fight." After hearing this, the king decided to challenge the son of Jamadagni. Soon thereafter, with an army of one Akshauhini, consisting of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 109,650 infantry, and 65,600 cavalry, King Sahasrarjuna arrived at Jamadagni's ashram. The sage respectfully greeted the king and served him with an impressive display of opulence. The king was surprised, thinking, "How can a hermitage contain such diverse wealth?" Then, realizing that the opulence was manifested from the sage's Surabhi's cow, the king demanded to have it as a gift. When the sage refused to give his Surabhi cow, the king forcibly took it after killing the sage. At that time, Parashurama was not at home. When Parashurama returned home and saw his mother crying, he asked her what had happened. When he heard from his mother about all that had taken place, he resolved to rid the earth of all Kshatriyas. It is said that because while lamenting his mother had beat her chest 21 times, Parashurama annihilated the Kshatriyas 21 times. Oh, parenthesis, really sometimes I feel like these kings were truly not developed or really good people. They hunt animals for pleasure, they kill animals for pleasure, hunting. What is this really? I think something is wrong in some of the ideas about the previous eras. I think the vice and sin is not only a nature inside the Kali Yuga. From Satya Yuga we see these kind of things. Otherwise, why the Dashavatara of Vishnu have been appearing previous Kali Yuga? Because there were many sinners. Why Buddha must to sweep out the Brahmanas from Bharat? Because many sins were committed in name of religion, and the overpowerful people who, by manipulating the poor, they get the power. It's very strange. There are some interesting things that I am about to start writing. By the way, many of my articles are on the website mahamantra.info. Check it out. Let's continue. So Parashurama wanted to get rid of all Kshatriyas 21 times. Parashurama bravely fought with a 1,000-armed king, finally cutting off his arms and head. Still, His anger was not pacified, and so he killed the king's entire family, which were members of the Haihaya dynasty. After completely annihilating all the Kshatriyas, he handed over the kingdom of the earth to the Brahmanas. Later on, the Kshatriyas that were able to escape the great slaughter regrouped and regained their kingdom from the Brahmanas after tactfully feeding them sumptuously. Is this part of the ancient story of the Vikings? How the Kshatriyas moved to the northern part of Europe? It is quite possible that this was the time. Some of them just ran away and they built up their own life somewhere in safe places. Parashurama again annihilated the Kshatriyas and returned the kingdom to the Brahmanas, but later on the remaining Kshatriyas easily took it back. Because of this, Parashurama angrily cursed the Brahmanas, saying, "Even after receiving the kingdom, you continue to live like beggars, and so may you always remain beggars." After annihilating the Kshatriyas 21 times, Parashurama performed a horse sacrifice, after which he rewarded the sage Kashyapa with a gift of the entire earth, so that the earth will not be completely devoid of Kshatriyas. Kashyapa said to Parashurama, "The earth will be ruled by me, and so you should depart toward the southern ocean." Since Parashurama's forefathers had advised him to stop killing all the Kshatriyas, and the sage Kashyapa had also requested him to give up the earth, Parashurama finally decided to renounce fighting forever. The ocean personified gave him Mount Mahendra, which is situated nearby. Parashurama was an empowered incarnation of the Supreme Lord. When Lord Ramachandra appeared in this world, Parashurama's mission came to an end. When Lord Ramachandra broke the bow of Lord Shiva, Parashurama came and displayed his anger. Later on, however, after realizing the truth of Lord Rama, Parashurama handed over his Vaishnava bow to him, and after offering him repeated obeisance, he departed from Mount Mahendra to perform penances. Sri Parashurama appeared at midday on the third day of the waxing moon in the month of Vaishakha in the village of Jamunija in present-day Bihar. In the next, we will read and study Sri Rama Avatar. That surely will be very nectarious. What I want to agree, and I did some part in this video, is that I hear many times or I read many times in the history in the Upanishads that this king, all saint kings, and the saint Brahmanas, but actually, I don't know, just to study the Brahmana who appeared, for example, in Vamanadev leela, you see that at least him was very materialistic, to say. And the Brahmanas who performed the sacrifices, to say, to Ravana, what about them? And those kings who used to hunt for pleasure, what about those kind of kings? Is violence, as we saw here, we just read, is violence right to be performed by kings? Is violence of any time something that we can do? Honestly speaking, brothers and sisters, these kind of contradictions on purity and Dharma are lately making me think on a deeper and new level many of the things, mainly stories that we have been taking by granted that the stories are like that, but if we just think that a tradition of 2000 years from Christianism, as I'm speaking about Christianism, the Bible officially had been changed and transformed over 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Do you think, and I would like to read your comments if you have a time. I know that you are very important, you never comment, but give 10 seconds for this. Do you think that it's possible that some part of the scriptures have been modified as the Bible was modified, that have been modified in order to support the status quo, the rulers and the power? If it is so, it will give a clear explanation why these kind of kings are called as saint kings while they are hunting for pleasure, no need, but just killing animals and killing entities just by pleasure, and also they're creating wars and violence just because I am Kshatriya, I feel the need of going and kill. Really? Really? I may be wrong, but I think here is something is wrong here. What do you think? Anyways, Parashurama ki jai.